Hey guys, Jim here. Time to do a post-mortem on the New York Custom Knife Show. What a great event that was. I had so much fun. Sitting here in front of me are the scores that I made for the weekend. I gotta tell you, knives aside, it was so awesome to meet so many of you, people that I know from YouTube, from Instagram, from Facebook. It was really awesome just kind of getting to know so many of you, getting a chance to put some faces to some names and, kind of share with some of the passion that we have for this crazy hobby that we've got. And getting to meet all the makers and a lot of the dealers had just such a phenomenal, amazing time. I actually flew up on Thursday. The show began Friday. Actually flew up on Thursday, stayed with a friend of mine in Pennsylvania, kind of did our partying thing the night before, had some nice scotch, had some nice cigars, and kind of got ourselves ready for the next day. And as soon as we got there, as we were sitting in the restaurant to have breakfast a couple hours before the show began, people started coming in. It was just, just some really, really, really awesome people. Let's kind of go through some of the knives that I've got here, and I'll tell a story or two. Now, I'm going to be doing a video on each of these knives individually, so I'm not going to get into a hell of a lot of detail here. This is more of just kind of a, kind of a once-over. For those of you that know me well, you know that this was one of my most anticipated purchases of this year. For those that don't know, this is the Redention by Ramon Chavez. And what he did was he offered 10 prototypes on a kind of an invite-only list, and I was so very fortunate to get on that list as number 10 of the 10 prototypes. This is, quite simply put, one of the most awesome knives that I've got in my collection for an overbuilt, crazy, insane knife in 3V steel. Has not been broken in yet. And each of us in the 10 did entirely different things. Justin Laffer is one of the 10. He got holes done in his. You got Mike, Terra Fanatic. You've got Fast Bandit, Menevade. We've all got completely different knives. And what I wanted to do here was go into a dark bronze on the titanium, but I didn't just want the stonewash. So he did the nice stonewash on this, did the deep anodizing, then sent it in for a light tumble. And the camera, I don't know if it's really picking it up, but it actually brings out, because of the very light stonewash that we did, I want it that way so it could be nice and smooth instead of having a rough texture like Blasted Tie has. But what it did was it brought out these speckles of gold that neither Ramon nor myself anticipated. It came out pretty damn badass. Then I wanted my hardware done in a lighter golden bronze. He certainly accomplished that. The back spacer, I decided to go flush with a gear pattern and mirror polished on that golden bronze. And the pocket clip, I wanted to match with the frame. This actually, I've already scarred it. It got its first scar within an hour of me putting it in my pocket the day that he hand-delivered it to me at the show on Friday. My clip is different. It's shorter than everybody else's. Everybody else's clip comes to right about here. I requested mine be 1/3 shorter, and Ramon was nice enough to do that. So we matched the finish to the frame, but the edges are done in that awesome mirror polish. Because as I learned from Terra Fanatic's knife, if you do a full mirror polish, it shows the scratches easily. Yeah, well, I guess it's going to show scratches anyway. I then had him chamfer around the lock bar cutout. I saw him do it. I think it was on Nick's knife. I think it was on Menevade's. I might be wrong. I might be confused. It might have been on Frucci's. But he only did it on one knife, and I said, you know what? That was a really, really nice touch. So I had him do it on mine. And then my blade is unlike anybody else's because we did a dark acid etch stone wash on the flats, created a two-tone by doing a hand satin on the grinds. This is the only one of the Redentions that have that so far. And of the prototypes, it's the only one. So I got to tell you, this thing is a beast. It's a monster. And it is absolutely one of my favorite knives in my collection. Again, I'll be doing a full video on this soon, but this is kind of like a little sneak peek of it. And quite simply put, the most badass clip of any knife in my collection. Next was actually my first score of the show. This was prepaid beforehand, and he was just nice enough to hand deliver it to me. This was my first score. You guys know from watching the videos on my channel that I have been chasing a Graham Risal forever. And I thought I snagged the perfect one when I bought that Midnight Risal, the Tashi Baruka collaboration, but I couldn't stand the squared off flipper at the front of the handles. I wanted one of the thicker flippers. I wanted something nice, and I got it. This is actually a very special material, zircotite. Oh, that sounds exotic, doesn't it? Yeah, because it's actually a Damascus made with zirconium, and I will discuss that in detail when the time comes for me to do the video. So it's got a nice pebbled finish, or eggshell finish if you want to say that, on the titanium. All the titanium hardware has been anodized in green, which is the hardest color to achieve when you're anodizing, because that's the last color you can reach before you've scorched and ruined the material. Flips like a beast, super smooth, and there is the wonderful compound grind on the Risal. For those that don't know the Risals, this front area here is actually a scraper. It's a chisel. It is sharp, just like the standard cutting edge. In my opinion, one of the most useful blades that you can get your hands on. Beautiful hand rub, satin all the way through. Tail clip coming around the ass end. Great detent. Perfect flipping action. Could not be happier. Yep, I paid out my ass for it, but once I saw it, I actually cruised on over to John Gray's table, and he had a whole bunch of thucks out there. It was awesome. But I saw this in his case, and I said, that's it, I have to have it. I prefer giving my money to friends anyway, and John's a friend. I really dig the guy, and I got a really, really special knife. It was expensive. I don't care. It was still less than I've seen a lot of people sell them for. John was actually selling it for more. He gave me a little bit of a price break. And for that, John, I do thank you. My second score is when I went to go see my friend Brian Ty. Known Brian for a number of years. It was actually him that got me into custom knives. So when I was at his table, I had to buy something, and he didn't have a lot of knives out there. It was kind of weird. He didn't have very many, and by the time Saturday rolled around, he had none left. This is actually a pretty damn special knife. This is the tiebreaker, and when I was playing with it, I was playing with all the knives on his table. This had the best detent of any Brian Ty that I've ever played with. It's got a nice, nice detent. This is just beautifully sculpted, beautifully colored, but it's really about the blade. This is Brian's Damasteel. Those of you that know Brian know his incredible quality Damascus. This is his first, or one of his first. I can't recall what he said. I think he said it was his first. I'll verify that before I do the full video. His first compound grind. Oh yeah. And it's a little hard to make out in the Damasteel, but it is certainly, there it is, there it is. It is a compound grind. Now, obviously, I didn't buy this knife to cut a whole hell of a lot of shit. I bought it because, again, I like spending my money with friends, and I loved the beauty of it. I'm always going to have a balance between my hardcore, serious carry knives and my more beautiful knives as my collection continues to evolve. I'm going to try to keep a nice balance with them. I'm not usually a pretty knife kind of guy, but I had to own this, and I've always liked the tiebreaker. I've never had a chance to own one that was exactly like I liked it. This is just beautiful. Brian did such an amazing job on this. It's nice and smooth. It's not even broken in yet. It's got a great detent, flies out super fast, which you guys know on a lot of his knives, it's not really about being fast flippers. And this one certainly is. So we'll close that back up and get to the jewel of the show scores. This, my friends, is an R.J. Martin modulator, so smaller than a Q36. Also not a liner lock. It's a titanium frame lock. Oh, but it doesn't end there. All zirconium side. White mother of pearl inlay that he did a just gorgeous, seamless job. You can't tell where the mother of pearl ends and the zirconium begins. This is presentation grade mother of pearl, meaning it's completely smooth on both sides. It is free from any cracks, veins, or any imperfections in it. It's got a nice degree of orient, which is that play of iridescent color. And it is one of his Damascus models as well. So what you've got here is a super special knife. Oh, by the way, Mokutai pocket clip. And what he was doing is he brought out a handful of knives that he was doing a lottery on. So each of them you could get into the lottery. Then he had one that was an open bid. It was a full Damascus modulator. And I had the wonderful opportunity to sit down with him and chat for quite a long time. It was actually, funny enough, it was actually Julie at Arizona Custom Knives. We bumped into each other. Julie, it was so great to see you. I just love you to death. And she says, you know what? She goes, RJ and I were talking about you. You need to come over here and meet him, because when I had made my rounds earlier, RJ hadn't been at his table yet. So she brought me over there, and her and Ryan set me up. We started talking, and I spent probably a good 45 minutes or so with RJ, just kind of shooting the shit and talking about knives in general and just really cool stuff. And he showed me all of the knives that he was going to be offering up over the next couple of days for the show. And believe it or not, this was the one I loved the most. He had a couple that were more of an eggshell color in the mother of pearl, but this was the one that had the most amazing detent. It was the one I fell in love with, and I didn't win it in the lottery. And in the lottery, it was $1,500. That's still a damn premium price, but for what you're getting, very, very fair. And it was actually my friend Sebastian. You guys know him as Sebo Strip. Sebastian won the lottery for this. And I caught up with him later on Friday. Was it? Yeah, it was Friday. And he says, I said, you know, so what'd you get, man? He says, oh, I actually won one of the R.J. Martin lotteries. He goes, but you know me, I'm not really a flipper guy. I'd actually like to take and sell this and take that money and get something that's, you know, a little more my style. And I said, well, listen, I know that you're going to have to make some money off of that, because it would be stupid of you not to, because these are going to end up going for over $3,000 when people get back home and start selling them online. If a dealer got one, definitely over $3,000. I said, you know, I really don't want to go that rich right now. I said, let me set you up with another dealer that I know who's going to want one. And they were going to meet the next day. So woke up the next morning, Saturday morning, got to the show, and the whole night before, I thought about this knife. I went, oh man, I am such an idiot. I'm such an R.J. Martin fan. This is one of the most beautiful knives I've seen him do. I'm such an idiot for not just paying out the ass for it. As luck would have it, within the first 15 minutes of getting into the show the next morning, I ran across Sebastian. I said, listen, did you sell that knife yet? He's like, actually, no, I haven't. I said, I'll buy it. He's like, but dude, you're my friend, and I don't want to charge you that much, but I mean, I would be a fool to let this go. I said, no, you would be a fool to let it go for something anywhere near what the table price was. So I offered an exorbitant amount of money, enough to pry it out of his hands. He walked away happy. I walked away ecstatic. And this is probably one that will never leave my collection. It is just that nice. It is that well made. This is not just going off of reputation. This is a gorgeous knife. Look at that lightning strike carbon fiber on the back spacer. Everything on this knife is amazing. Every little detail. The fitment of everything is as flawless as I can detect. It's beautiful in every way. And you guys know the only thing that I have never liked about any of my R.J. Martins has been the standard spring clip. And here it is again, another standard spring clip. But at least it's in Mokutai this time. So it's something extra special. Certainly unique. So you've got titanium on this side, zirconium on this side. So it's a really interesting two-tone. That is a gorgeous friggin' knife. And being smaller than a Q36, I'm more apt to carry this on a daily basis, and I will. This is not a safe queen. You guys know me. None of my knives are. If I'm not going to carry it, if I find that I've not carried a knife, I sell it, because it's not going to be in my collection unless I'm going to carry it. I love these ridges here because it locks your thumb in when you go to flip the knife, and your thumb doesn't feel like it wants to slide all around. The action on this is insane. Love this thing to death. Had some really great experiences with a lot of makers. It was really cool seeing Greg Medford in person, hanging out with him for a few minutes. I couldn't spend as much time with him as I would have liked to because he was just being mobbed the whole time I was there. And I'm not going to take away from his business to, oh, hang out with me, dude. But it was really cool the chances we got to hang out. I think that my biggest takeaway was, you know, I made a beeline for the Beggs table, went to go see Mark Begg. Truly love the guy. And he's not, you know, what you saw on the TV show on Blade Brothers. I mean, he's silly and he's funny and he's got an amazing, huge personality. But he came across to me as one of the most intelligent guys I think I've ever talked to. You know, he was comic relief, I guess, on the show. But if you really get a chance to talk to Mark Begg, I got to tell you guys, he gets, I don't want to say serious as in, you know, monotone and drab. I mean, he can get serious. He speaks with authority. He speaks with intelligence. And it was just a real pleasure sitting down for both the days that I was there and just hanging out with him. Mattia was there. I was there when they were first pulling out the Bodega Begattis, which is the double thick bodegas. And I almost bought one. I was just afraid it would take away from my love of my Bodega, which is in my top 3. It's a knife I will never, ever get rid of for any amount of money. It's that special to me. And I said, you know what? I love these tank-like overbuilt knives. And if I had a Bodega that was built like that, it might take away the love that I have for my current Bodega. And I just don't want to do that. So I ended up not buying from them as much as I wanted to. But, you know, it's okay. I'm on the list for 2 knives from them. So that's cool. That's great. Actually, 3 knives. What am I talking about? So it was just awesome to sit down and hang out with Mark, you know, kind of uninterrupted because in the early part of the show, they didn't have anything out yet. And it was just an awesome experience. It was great seeing Jeff, seeing Tough Thumbs, and the fever of all the people around his booth, around his table. People loved him. They loved seeing the knives. He brought out that Warncliffe style of Tannic. It was already sold, but he brought it to show people, and they were so impressed with it. Got a chance to meet some people I never met before, like Andre Thorburn. It was probably my #1 favorite table at the show. I was actually going to buy a knife off Andre's table. I fell in love with it, and I was deciding between 2. And me and this other guy got to the table pretty much at the same time, but he beat me by a couple of steps, and he was holding the one that I was going to end up buying. And he put it down. He started to look at another one, and he said he wasn't going to buy it. I'm like, okay, then I'm going to buy it. And Andre looked at the two of us. He goes like, is somebody going to buy it? You know? And he's like, you know, I really do like it. Maybe I should order it, or, you know, can I come back tomorrow and order it? And Andre's like, it's here right now. You're here right now. Just buy it right now. And the guy looked at me. He's like, you know, would that be okay? I'm like, dude, you really did walk up here first. You did touch the knife first. And yeah, I want it, but I'm not going to be a dick about it. If you want it, by all means, go for it. He's only a 6 to 8 week wait to have one built. I'll just have one built just like it. No big deal. So that made that dude's day. He was super happy when he walked away. He had beautiful file work on the spine. And I got to tell you guys, if you've never checked out Andre Thorburn, you need to. Actually, don't do it till I get my order in, and then go check him out. Really nice guy, and just the quality of his knives is far beyond what he charges. And another one of my favorites was Mick Strider. I got a chance to hang out with Mick a lot, and it was really, really awesome. The dude's a freaking rock star, but he loved everybody. He loved talking and hanging out with everybody. And, you know, Marissa was there. It was just a really badass time. And I had a couple of guys that started saying some shit on Instagram because some of you know, some of you don't know. I'm launching my own watch line. I named it after my son. My son's name is Strider. And this is my prototype for the watch. It's releasing in a couple of weeks. And a couple of guys were like, you're just riding on the coattails of the success of Strider knives. Actually, I'm not. My 11-month-old son, it's named after him, but whatever. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to make a beeline for Mick when he gets here, and I'm going to show it to him, I'm going to talk to him, make sure you get out in front of this and, you know, just talk to him about it. He's like, dude, it's fucking cool, man. I don't give a shit. He's like, it's just my name, and it has nothing to do. You're not trying to use my logo or make it look like my knives or anything like that. He's like, you know, more power to you. Great success. And he actually liked the watch. I actually took a really cool photograph. It's on my Instagram of him wearing this watch. And so I'm going to hook him up with one of them. He liked it, so I'm going to hook him up with one. And it was just a fun experience. The dude's a rock star, but he was just so down to earth with everybody. Tony Marfione was the same way. Tony was amazing to hang out with and talk to. And my buddy bought a very exclusive, one of 3 ever made DOCs in a really cool mirror bronze, a new DLC coating that Tony is working with. And Tony's actually going to send me a couple of knives that have the various new coatings that he has. He's teaching me all about it, and we're going to do an overview on them. So, yeah, Tony was just friggin' awesome. Not a whiff of ego or attitude about that guy. It was really refreshing to see that. So, anyway, there's a whole bunch more to talk about. I just don't have time. I'm going to run out of juice here in a minute. So I just want to say thank you to all of you. A lot of you came up to me and introduced yourselves to me during the show. It was really a pleasure meeting all of you guys. I will see you again. I'm going to go to the Blade Show and probably G6. I'm going to skip the East Coast Knife Show just because it's too close in time-wise and I can't get the time off of work. But it really was so much fun meeting all of you guys. Thank you for introducing yourselves to me. Thank you for just the great camaraderie that I felt throughout the entire weekend. I'm going to go for now. Do be on the lookout over the course of the next week. I'm going to get a video done for each and every one of these so we can get more in depth and talk about why each one is so special. I'm out of here for tonight. I will talk to you guys soon.